What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's Horror Fan 34, and welcome to another video. And welcome to another review for the Christmas Movie Challenge. But now we are getting on to the next film. Now we're kind of delving back into the, I guess you would say, thriller aspect, with a little bit of elements of horror in it, because I know it is classified as a horror movie, and it does have some horror elements in it, but it's mainly a thriller. And if you can tell by the title of the video already, right here, and I almost forgot this was actually a Christmas movie. Once again, this takes place on Christmas Eve, and it's a pretty solid thriller in my opinion. And of course, that review is going to be on P2. And now P2 was a film that was released in 2007, directed by Frank Calhoun. This is the same guy that went on to direct the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood, which is a very solid remake in my opinion. Very solid remake of the original classic by William Lustig with Joe Spinell. But before he did the Maniac remake, he did this film, P2. And it's a pretty cool idea of like taking all in one place, taking place inside of a parking garage. You have Rachel Nichols right here on the cover. Rachel Nichols, you've seen her in a lot of stuff. I think she was in the new Conan movie with Jason Momoa. She was in... I want to say she was in one of the G.I. Joe movies. I could be wrong on that. I think the first movie. I could be wrong, though. I don't know, though. But she plays a woman who works she works at this corporation, and and she parks her car in this parking garage connected to the building that she works in. It's Christmas Eve. She's leaving to go home, and her car won't start. One thing leads to another. She encounters a security guard, played by Wes Bentley from a ton of movies. Wes Bentley, you've seen him, you know him from a lot of stuff. This guy here. And his character happens to be named Thomas. So I'm the villain of the film. So he encounters her, and he seems like a nice guy, but then you can tell he ends up becoming an obsessed stalker guy, and she is basically trapped inside the parking garage now that it's closed off for the holidays, and she's trapped in here with this guy who's most likely going to be killing her. And basically he tries to advance on her, and she rejects him, and he goes, and pretty much everything goes haywire after that, and then she gets trapped in the parking garage. You get some really great gore, a lot of really good violence in the film. And shout out to Julie for this. If you're watching this, Julie, wanted to mention a little fun fact for you about this film. The boss that Rachel Nichols works for, her boss, is Simon Reynolds. Now, Julie, if you've seen Survive the Night, Simon Reynolds was the lead gang member, Ice's brother, Kat. He's the one that was on the rooftop, and he tried to jump, and he fell through the window and fell down to his death. That's Simon Reynolds. He's the boss of her in the movie. And when Wes Bentley's character gets him, he gets killed very brutally. He's tied up to a chair, all duct taped and all bloodied up, and Wes Bentley runs into him with a car and pushes him against the parking garage wall and just goes splat and crushes him. Excuse me, I'm still burping. And on top of that too, one of the things I really like about this film too is that it's like an all-in-one condensed spot. It's all inside of this parking garage, and makes you feel very claustrophobic. Definitely has like a claustrophobic vibe to the film. I mean, you figure it takes place all in one night in this parking garage, and there's no shots of outside, like no nothing until she leaves, obviously. But throughout the night and throughout the film, it all takes place inside of this parking garage, and her going from point A to point B, trying to get away from the security guard guy. And I think Rachel Nichols does a solid job as the lead. Wes Bentley was really good as well as the villain of the film. or I should say, I did a good job as the villain because his name's Thomas. But okay, enough of those jokes. It was also really cool to see Simon Reynolds from Survive the Night in a small role that he had. I thought that was nice. Actually, one of the producers on the film was actually Alexander Aja, and the story was also by Alexander Aja. And he also wrote the film too, along with Frank Calhoun. Alexander Aja, that's a guy who directed the Hills Have Eyes remake. He did Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland. He did Piranha 3D. He recently did Crawl. That's a great one as well. And he also directed High Tension. That was the one I wasn't thinking of. High Tension. I think it's a very solid story. It's a pretty unique idea of like a horror film taking place in a parking garage, and like I said, I think it's very very well directed by Frank Calhoun. Frank Calhoun definitely does a very solid job directing this film because I saw what he did with the Maniac remake, which really did surprise me. I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed Maniac with Elijah Wood. And I think Frank Calhoun did a solid job directing the POV shots of Elijah Wood and things like that. And he does a solid job directing this film, too. But if you want another really good Christmas horror film that takes place on Christmas or Christmas Eve, you want to see like a very interesting idea of being taking place in this one setting in a parking garage, I definitely recommend you give this film a look. So that's pretty much it for my review for P2. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.